Now let's try to understand means how we can create actual bar chart means. Basically, we have just created one block on the chart right now, which is just one bar. But however, what we wanted to do is we wanted to create this type of values which we need to display. On x-axis we are going to display category, and on y-axis we are going to display values. So that is something which is we wanted to do it. For that we will try to define those. So now we have just mentioned this height and width as a hard coded value, but we need something which is dynamic and which we should be taken from this value and category. For that we need to write some code, and we'll try to specify this x first. For that we'll just try to create one variable which is x, and we will write some code in this. For that is we wanted to specify the scaling. Like scaling is nothing but means whatever height or width we are taking, like this is what something which is we wanted to display means based on this height and width means whatever the way means the users can do this like this and they can display this. So for that we need a scaling. So for scale we do have scale band. One is scale band and scale linear. So we do have a scale band and scale linear, two things which are available with the D3. So what we will do, we will just write scale band here. You can say scale band and we can say scale linear as well. You can take this scale band and scale linear one. This is helpful for x and y axis properties, and we are going to use to implement this x and y axis values. So now for x axis we are going to use scale band. Let's say we need to have this scale band, and the bracket means basically whatever the test data we have taken, like whatever the data which is we have taken, we wanted to take its category for this x-axis. For that we need to write for scale band dot, then we will write a domain, and then in this bracket we are going to specify the test data. So this is something which is we wanted to give it, and we need to specify the data point as well, means from where to start and which one we need to use. So this test data we need to map with the actual x values means and which one so data category we want. So we do have this function which is with the test data, which is map, and in map what we can do, we will just write as test data dot map. In this we will write our test data point. So we need a data point here, and we need to write it in this way where we specify this equal to sign and greater than sign, and then after that we will just mention as data point dot, and which one we wanted to have a category or value. So this will come from the test data, so we wanted to have category. So let's select that, and in this we will just mention again there are two things which we wanted to select. One is the range bound, means how much range we wanted to specify. So for this range round, and then we need to specify range as well for this. So for that we do have this range round where it is scaling that particular range, means from where it should start and where it should end. When we have this x-axis means whenever the this is increased or how much is it is increased. So this is something which is this width we need to specify, and this width may be more or maybe less, but that cannot be fixed, means we are not going to give this fix. So for that we will just try to specify the width. For that we will just use range round, and in this we will just write as the 0 as the starting point for that particular bar, and maximum it may be any width, maybe it is less or maybe it's maximum. For this we will just try to get the values for the width and height, means this visual update options, whatever the width and height it is getting from the chart. So that is something which is available with these options in this. That so for that we will just mention as, let's try to select constant options dot viewport. So this is something which is we are which is holding the width, and we will just mention as width, and we'll select this. We'll again mention the height as well. Same, we'll just take its height. So this is something which is going to take the width and height from these options, like from this particular chart. So that width we are going to specify it here. Whatever the width coming, so that will be selected as a range for this particular x-axis. And lastly we add a padding as well for this, which is we just wanted to have some space as well, so that we will give it here. Now this is done for the x-axis, means we have just specified what we wanted to have on the x-axis. We wanted to have a data point category that is coming from this test data, and that we are going to map with this x-axis. So that for that we are using this scale band which is available in this D3. Now let's come to the y-axis. For this again we are going to select this constant y, then which is we are going to select equal to. For y-axis we are going to use scale linear. For this we'll just write scale linear, because scale band means is work like from the left to right for x-axis, and scale linear is from top to bottom. So that is something which is we are going to use as a scale linear. So again we are going to use the domain here, and in this we are going to use the range, like means from where to start and where to end. So this is something which is we wanted to do it, and for this we wanted to start the axis from y-axis bars from 0, but where it should go? It should go to the maximum value, whatever the value which is available here. For that, we are going to use as a starting point for as a 0 here, and then we need to specify the maximum means whatever the values which is there. So for that, we are going to select as max function. So max is available in this D3 again. So we can add this max here, and then it can be used it here. So we will just try to do that x max of, and then we are going to specify the data point from where it should be a from test data. So this is something which is we are going to see max test data, and we are going to specify the data point, and again like this we are going to just map it with this data point, and we are going to specify data point dot value. So this is something which is we have specified, and we'll just add +2 just to get some space in between both the bars. So that is something which is we are going to do it here. So this is how it is going to be for value which is getting added starting with 0 for this particular y value. And finally also we will just add a range as well. So range is something which is height. Now whatever bars which are going to be so basically x-axis comes from left to right, and y-axis starts from top to bottom. So that is something which is we wanted to specify. So we are going to specify height as a starting point, and 0 it's a minimum point where it should stop that. So that is something which is we are going to do it. And now this is we are done with the y-axis as well. So x and y-axis, both the places we have added this x and y-axis. One more thing I would just wanted to do it here is just we are to the SVG element, whatever the SVG element which is a rectangle we have created. So for that we are just going to do one simple things, which is this dot SVG dot attribute, and we are going to specify means whatever the height and width coming from this particular visuals, means it is not going to be the hard coded one, but coming from this width and height variable that we are going to specify. So for this we will just mention width as width, and height as. Now let's come to this particular attribute things where we wanted to specify something which is here we wanted to specify. Now coming to this width and height, now let's try to add this width and height which is more dynamic, not the hard coded one. So for that we are just going to say for width we are going to select the x dot bandwidth. So this is something which is we are going to select for this x width as, and height we are going to specify from the y variable. For height, we are going to take it from y, and for this we are just mentioning as here we are going to use a data point, and we are going to use y of data point value. So this is something which is we are going to select. However, we wanted to minus the height of that particular bar as well, means that is why we wanted to make it the height minus y of data point value, so that this is the value, particular value means whatever the value which is coming. So height will be specific y-axis height, and that will be minus with the value, whatever the value which is given here, so that will be displaying correctly. So that is something which is we are going to specify as height minus y of data point dot value. And again we this is height and width we have specified. Now we are going to actually specify the plotting of this particular. So x axis and y axis. So now when we wanted to do it for x axis, we can just mention as a data point again, and we are going to specify x of data point dot category. So for this we wanted to have this x for, again we are going to add for y as well. We are again going to do the same thing, which is data point y of data point dot value. So this is something which is we have done now, and if we try to save this now, we should be able to see our data in terms of the bar chart. So let's try to save this. When we refresh this, You can see this bar chart has been created. Now this is what something which is we have just created based on the value. So that's how it is there, and we can plot this charts. Means in the next video we will try to see how we can color this and how we can display its value as well.